Okay, we're good.
So I'll just jump right in with something. 27924, and it's if we could display the number of holds waiting on the checkout screen. So you generally have the list, but if it could just say holds waiting and then like parentheses 5 or whatever, it would just be an extra little helpful thing. We're checking everything out through our pickup window. And so when we go and retrieve, we kind of look to see, am I looking for 3 things or 10 things or whatever? And it would just be a minor usability type thing.
Quality of life improvement.
That would be something, Barbara, for circulation PL. Is that the right page?
Yes, I think so. Yes. And here's an attachment of what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let me ask, so let me share my screen. Did I do that right? Can you see my Koha screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So on this page, unless I'm wrong, this will show you the number of holds.
Right.
Would that be just duplicated information somewhere up here?
But it'd be, yeah, I guess so.
But
Like the waiting holds though.
Yeah, it's the waiting holds.
So if it's one of those folks with 50 holds at one time, all the time.
right. Waiting holds. Okay. Just making sure I understand. I see some more bugs.
So I put in 27809, which is also sort of a minor usability thing, but when you're in a patron record and you go to the modification log tab on the left, it displays from the oldest date to the newest. So if you want to see the last thing that happened, you have to go all the way down to the bottom, which could be a lot of scrolling. It seems like it'd be nice to have that sorted by date descending, so your newest things would be on top.
Trying to pull that table up. I don't have any info on my dev box. So let me, I think that maybe if we just added a data table there, we would gain all the sorting
Mhm.
column functions that we want. So that might actually be pretty easy. Yep, looks like that's just a regular old table right now. So if we added the data table stuff, I think that would allow you to sort it by any column you wanted to, or put in some jQuery to make it default sort to a certain column.
Um, 27182 is a cataloging thing. When you create the mark modification templates, let me go and look at the screen. It's more of a tools thing, I guess.
Oh, this one would be great.
I'm trying to remember exactly what I meant by it. So I'm looking. My recollection is that there was sort of some way to name it, but it wasn't obvious, but I'm not seeing that at the moment. But anyway, it would be nice to be able to have a clear way of, renaming it in case you change your mind about, how you want to describe it, how clear you want to make it, how detailed you want to make it.
That also looks like another table that could use the data tables treatment. Because it doesn't look like it's got any way to, like any default sorting, for me at least.
Which table is that?
On the mark modifications templates page.
Is that biblioframework.pl?
No, it's mark underscore modification underscore templates.pl.
Okay.
It's in the tools section.
And I think the way I thought that you can sort of get around it is you can duplicate a template and then give it a different name. So, you can kind of accomplish that, but that's a little clunky and it's not very obvious.
That reminded me about the new one to rename macros.
Mhm. Yeah. That'd be really helpful.
So the only way for you to do that right now is to duplicate it and give the new duplicated one a new name and then delete the original one.
I think so.
And I find, when I first do a macro, I think, oh, this is just my little thing. But then I realize, oh, I'd like to share this.
And therefore name it differently.
Right? Something more descriptive.
What goes along with that is 26954, which is there's no real way to sort the macros. So sometimes I use silly naming conventions to put something at the bottom, or I get rid of something and then I put new stuff in just simply because I want things to be at the top, I guess. So if they either like displayed in alphabetical order or if they had sort capability, it would improve your ability to, maybe have your most used things at the top or, something like that.
I guess I can, since we're setting in silence, I can jump in. I haven't opened a bug on this, but I've been doing more with our club holds settings and stuff. So I thought I might share some things areas for improvement, I think. And I can write up some bug tickets on this, but let me share my screen. That should be the one. Maybe. Are you still seeing the club holds patron clubs thing? So one thing that I kind of found odd as I was working on this is all of these names are hyperlinked, but you can see that just links back to this page. So all that happens when you click on those is it reloads the page.
It turned into a long gray bar on my screen.
Yeah.
Oh, let me stop the share and reshare. I bet I messed it up. Okay. See my Chrome again?
Yes.
Okay. So when I click on the name of the club, it just reloads the page, which is, I don't know, it doesn't seem very usable there. It would make more sense if clicking on the name actually took you to the enrollments to see the patrons in the club. So that was one thing. That might be the only major thing I was thinking of improvement-wise there. Oh, another thing that I think would be really handy is being able to like toggle on public enrollment in a batch, because you can see I've got 154 clubs right now, and we're gonna want to toggle these on for the public at some point so that patrons can enroll themselves. But at this point, it's just a 1-by-1 setting, and I have to go in and edit it. And it maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe it's in the templates. And if I check it, then it'll check them all. That could be a thing that I'm not going to try right now because I don't want to shake the nest. But
there's weaknesses.
there's promise there. So yeah, that might be a non-issue after all.
I mean, at worst, we might be able to do a little database update that says public enrollment from 0 to 1 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's probably easily doable on the back end, but on the front end, it would be nice to, if changing this doesn't actually work, be able to do that. There is a bug out there for bulk patron club enrollment. That's another thing that I would love to see to make this more useful. And I guess I'm gonna share here and link it. Because right now, when you enroll a patron in a club, you have to pull up the patron, click on their clubs tab, dig through the clubs that are there, click enroll for one club, and then click enroll again or finish enrollment or something. And then you have to do that for every single club that they enroll in. So some sort of bulk enrollment tool would be very helpful. So Donna had already written a bug for that, so I just commented on it, but put that in the chat as well.
We're not using the club holds yet, but so if you have the club holds set up and people are enrolled in that, but you have other people that want Baldacci, how does the list of people that are just placing normal holds and then the list of people that are in the club holds, how does that work together?
So the club holds are basically just one big block of holds, and it behaves that way. So like if you put in a new item and 5 people jump on there and put their holds on before you put the club hold on, it's not going to duplicate any of the holds. So like if those people are in the club, it's not going to add them again. It's just going to keep them at the top. And then it's going to take that block of people and randomize them and stick all their holds on at once. And then any new holds go on after that big block of holds. Does that kind of make sense?
Sort of.
It's sort of confusing, but it does work the way that we had intended for it to work. And we also work consortium, of course, so we've got things like local holds prioritization turned on. So like as long as the patron's hold matches the item library, it's still gonna give it to them first, even no matter where they get put in that scramble list. So yeah, we've slowly been rolling it out. I've only got 2 of my big libraries using them right now, but I've got some of my medium-sized libraries are starting to add patrons to, and it's been working out really well, especially on those like Patterson lists where there were 100 people and they had to put on 100 holds one at a time. Now it's just one click. So yeah, I was going to do a presentation on this at Koha-thon. That was my proposal. So I'll probably still do a presentation on club holds in September to talk about how we're using it and kind of what we went through and the pros and cons and all that.
And is it always by author?
No, you can set it up however you need to. That's just how we chose to do it, because that was like this was a development we started like years ago, and that was our whole case for it, was we wanted a way to have patrons be able to enroll in these automatic, we called them automatic reserves, but there wasn't anything automatic about it. It was all staff driven. So we were trying to build that process into Koha. But you can set it up like a regular book club. You could just have a club for your regular book club people, and then when you pick your book, you could put all your holds on that book for the people in your book club, that kind of thing. It's got different ways you can use it for sure.
Another holds related bug, it came up in another SIG meeting recently. I don't remember which one, but it's 25619, and it's the ability to adjust the expiration date for waiting holds. So like you've got somebody that's in the hospital and then they're gonna, get out after their hold expires, but they want to run by the library on the way home. And you'd like to extend it like 2 days or something. We've had things like that happen, and we've had somebody who got delayed out of town, like the airport's closed and they're stuck in the snowy airport, but they still don't want to lose their place on Patterson or whatever, and we'd like to extend it, a day or two to allow them to still get it. And there was I don't remember which meeting it was, but there were a number of people, a number of libraries that, were really interested in that functionality.
It's hard when all the meetings blur together.
I know.
That may have been the sysadmin meeting earlier this week. I'm not sure either. But yeah, so Barbara, do you automatically expire your holds then? Like you let them
No,
drop off?
I don't think we do. I don't think we do.
I don't think we do either. So yeah, but I agree. I think this would be a good enhancement. It looks like it's got some good discussion on it too.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks like it's popular. And it looks like there's a non-working version of that feature in master now that lets you change the hold expiration date, but it doesn't save. If you look at bug 26656. So maybe most of the work is done and we just need to fix the bug. Barbara and Heather, I'm going to share my screen for a second, go back to the macros thing, just to make sure I understand correctly what you're talking about. Is this where you'd like to see them sort alphabetically?
Yes, or at least have the ability to sort.
Change it from, okay. It seems like it does oldest, newest now. Okay.
Yeah, that's where it would be really handy to have the ability to sort and the ability to rename.
The ability to probably just making it sort alphabetically is not ideal. You'd like the ability to sort it in different ways if possible.
Yeah, but alphabetically would be a great start.
Okay.
Because what I do when I have to, I use naming conventions or something, they start with, Z underscore, want it to be at the end. So
I
It'd be
think
cool if you could like star them, like have your favorites at the top or something.
that would be good.
it looks like it would be pretty simple too to at least sort those alphabetically with jQuery if need be. So if anybody wants to put in a ticket for that, feel free.
I have a question, and I'm not sure that I've got this right, but it seems like it was at one of these web dev meetings a while back, and Owen was there. And I thought he said something about like Bootstrap something, the new whatever version of it coming out, and we should be moving to that. And then I believe he said that like maybe for sites who have a lot of customization, it might break a lot of things. And so I'm wondering, like, is that true? And are we moving to it? And when would that be? And
When should we start panicking?
Yeah, I'd like to be prepared.
So in Koha 2011, which is if you're with Bywater, the next major release we'll move to. We will be moving the OPAC from Bootstrap 3 to Bootstrap 4. I am currently trying to work out what those differences are going to be, add my changes to Galadriel. And I know that's not going to help probably either Barbara or Jason. But what we can do, and again, you're welcome to open a ticket, is I can take a dev box, put it on 2011, take all your HTML and your CSS customizations and throw them in there, and we can have a look. There are some, I'm mostly worried about some of our, and this is overall partner sites, so it may or may not affect you, but a lot of times in the OPAC system preferences, the header, the footer, we use Bootstrap classes like span 3, span 6, span 9, which tell it how big to be. And those work good in Bootstrap 3, but they don't work at all in Bootstrap 4. They need to be replaced with new class names. So I think some of the biggest worries is those custom content areas. And if you have those, you might want to go through and look at them before we go to 2011 and make sure things aren't looking wonky. And they're fairly easy fixes when it breaks. We just go replace span 3 with like a class called something similar, but not exactly the same.
And so is that only on the OPAC side in 2011?
Yeah. It is. There's no, I forget what version of Bootstrap the staff client is on, but it is not upgrading. And typically there's just not as much customization as far as look goes on the staff client. I would say, for the most part, if you look at a blank install, Bootstrap 4 looks way better than Bootstrap 3 did on the OPAC.
This seems like a good excuse to upgrade my test server. I don't remember what it's running right now.
I mean, upgrade it to something that
2011, so that I can start testing changes. Or I could just wait until I upgrade with you guys on our live server and then stay up all night fixing all the things that I feel like I need to fix, because that's definitely not something I've done in the past.
it sounds kind of scary, but I think like generally like the fixes are going to be fairly trivial.
That's good. I did have to fix that. I had that issue that everybody else was talking about in Slack with the OPAC details were like messed up and the nav menu thing was down. But I just went over to Lizette's site and stole whatever code you put in there, and I think that that fixed it. So
actually, and there was two versions of that code, and an early version I wrote, and then the systems team were worried because it will break again when 2011 arrives. So
yeah, it was one of you added this span, right? And that you were talking about the spans.
Yeah, there's just some classes got accidentally added, our Bootstrap 4 classes and not Bootstrap 3 classes. So the jQuery returns them to their Bootstrap 3 classes, but if that Bootstrap is still there when you go to 2011, it will break. But I did figure something new out, which is you can write jQuery at least on the OPAC in a way which targets specific versions of Koha.
Oh.
I don't know which version you ended up with, Jason, but
probably not the new version.
You will notice because in the new version it'll say the jQuery will say something like if something equals Koha 2005.
Yeah, no, this one just says if OPAC detail, then catalog detail biblio parent add span 9 and remove column large 9.
Let me grab you some better jQuery just in case you have that still in your system come 2011. The real fix should come prior to that in 2005. It's backported now. But if you were to leave that jQuery anyway, it would break on 2011 unless you use this other jQuery, which just gives it an if. Let me find it.
I don't think it's that worrisome for me just because this issue no one reported. And then like Lizette and I were talking on after this admin group or something on Slack, and then I got a OPAC problem report from Lizette, who self-registered on my site to point out that it was an issue. So apparently my people don't really care.
I'm gonna in Slack. I'm just gonna go ahead and give you this anyway.
Okay.
You can replace it if you want, or not. It's up to you.
I definitely will. It sounds like it'll save me a little headache at least.
And just having the jQuery that targets specific versions of Koha can be kind of handy, depending on what kind of jQuery you're writing.
Totally. Thank you.
Anyone else have any other things to discuss? We could just sit around in silence too. Or
I love me some good awkward silence.
I'll fill your silence. 27320, this is on the Mark export tool. You can limit things by item type, but it'd be really handy if you could also limit by a shelving location or a collection code. I was doing some project and I guess I needed a finer way of defining it. And I was able to go and do a report, but if there were a way to limit by those other things, it would have been helpful to do it all within the Mark export tool.
seems like if item type is already there, that shelving location and collection code shouldn't be super hard to be added. I'm just going to add myself to all these bugs we've talked about today and see which ones I can make some time for getting fixes to, or know how to do the fixes to. Well, maybe we've ran out of things to talk about for the month.
I mean, we did manage to fill almost the whole hour, so without an agenda or any sort of, I guess Barbara came prepared. She had her bugs.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Does anybody have an objection to stopping the recording?